Have you ever caught yourself looking in the mirror and thinking, where did the time go? One day, you're running up the stairs without a second thought, and the next, you're holding onto the railing just to be safe. It happens to all of us. And if we're being honest, sometimes it's scary. The body changes. The face in the mirror isn't the same one we remember from years ago. And suddenly, the world seems to treat us differently, like we're fading into the background. But let me tell you something. Getting older doesn't mean disappearing. It doesn't mean losing yourself. Fear of aging is real, and it's not just about wrinkles or gray hair. It's about independence, purpose, and the unknown. Maybe you worry about your health, about becoming a burden, or about losing the things that once made life exciting. But here's the truth. Aging isn't the enemy. Fear is. And today, we're going to break free from that fear and talk about how to embrace this stage of life with confidence, joy, and purpose. Because life after 70 isn't about slowing down, it's about living fully, on your own terms. Let's start by tackling one of the biggest fears that comes with aging, the fear of losing control. When you're younger, you feel like you have your whole life ahead of you. You can make plans, take risks, and bounce back from just about anything. But as we get older, things can feel a little less predictable. Maybe your body doesn't move the way it used to. Maybe you've lost a loved one, and suddenly, life feels a little emptier. That sense of control, over your body, your choices, your future, can feel like it's slipping away. But here's the secret. You still have control. Maybe not over everything, but certainly over how you live each day. The key is to focus on what you can do, rather than what you can't. Start by building a daily routine that makes you feel strong and capable. Wake up with purpose. Whether that means setting small goals for the day, moving your body, or simply enjoying a quiet morning with your favorite cup of coffee. A structured day helps you feel in charge of your life, no matter what changes come your way. And speaking of control, let's talk about one of the most powerful ways to regain it, staying physically active. Now, I know what you might be thinking. I'm not as strong as I used to be. Or, exercise is too hard at my age. But movement isn't about lifting heavy weights or running marathons. It's about staying engaged with your body. Even simple activities, like stretching in the morning, taking a short walk, or dancing around your living room to your favorite song, can remind you that you're still very much alive. And the best part? Moving your body doesn't just keep you physically strong, it also helps clear your mind, lifts your mood, and keeps fear at bay. When you feel capable in your body, you feel capable in life. Now, let's talk about something that many people don't realize is holding them back: negative self-talk. That little voice in your head that says, "I'm too old for that," or "it's too late for me." If you keep telling yourself those things, of course, you'll start to believe them. But think about it. Would you ever say those words to a friend? If a close friend came to you and said, "I feel like my best years are behind me," wouldn't you remind them of everything they still have to offer? Wouldn't you tell them that age doesn't define them, that they still have so much to experience and enjoy? So why not extend that same kindness to yourself? Start replacing those negative thoughts with empowering ones. Instead of saying, "I can't do that anymore," try, "What can I do today that makes me feel good?" Instead of, "I don't have a purpose," remind yourself, "I have wisdom and experience that the world needs." Your mindset shapes your reality. If you believe aging is something to fear, you'll find reasons to be afraid. But if you believe aging is an opportunity to learn, to grow, to love, you'll start to see the beauty in this phase of life. And that brings me to something even more powerful: staying connected. One of the biggest fears about aging is loneliness. Maybe your kids are busy with their own lives. Maybe you've lost friends along the way. It's easy to feel isolated, like the world is moving on without you. But here's the thing: connection doesn't have to fade with age. In fact, it's more important than ever. Make it a priority to reach out. Call an old friend, join a group that interests you, or even strike up a conversation with a neighbor. And if you feel like there's no one to reach out to, create new connections. Take a class, volunteer, or find an online community where you can share your thoughts and experiences. The truth is, people want to connect. Sometimes, They just don't know how to take the first step. Be the one to take it. Fear of aging thrives in isolation, but it weakens when you surround yourself with people who uplift and inspire you. When you engage with others, when you laugh, share stories, and make new memories, you remind yourself that life is still happening, and you are still a part of it. You see, aging isn't about losing, it's about shifting. Your priorities shift. Your perspective shifts. And if you let it, your joy can shift too, into something deeper, richer, and more meaningful than ever before. It all starts with a choice. A choice to embrace this stage of life instead of fearing it. A choice to move, to speak kindly to yourself, and to stay connected to the world around you. Now that we've talked about regaining a sense of control, staying active, and shifting your mindset, let's go even deeper. Because the truth is, fear of aging isn't just about the physical changes, it's also about identity. Who are you now, in this stage of life? What gives you purpose? What makes you excited to wake up in the morning? For so many years, your identity was tied to roles. You were someone's parent, someone's spouse, someone's coworker. Maybe you spent decades taking care of others, working hard, building a life. And now, things have slowed down. The kids are grown. The job is done. And suddenly, that busy life you once had has quieted. For some, that quiet feels peaceful. But for others, it can feel empty. This is where many people struggle. They start to wonder, who am I now? What's left for me? And if they don't have an answer, fear creeps in. They start thinking, maybe my best years really are behind me. But let me tell you something. Your identity is not limited to what you did in the past. You are not just the sum of your old responsibilities. You are still you, and you still have so much to explore, experience, and contribute. This is the perfect time to rediscover yourself. Think about it. When was the last time you did something just for you? Something that wasn't about work, family, or obligation. Maybe you loved painting but never had the time. Maybe you always wanted to learn to play an instrument, speak a new language, or travel to a place you've never been. Maybe you always wanted to write a book, start a blog, or share your wisdom in some way. Now is your chance. This is your time. You're not too old to start something new. In fact, you're finally at a stage where you can, without the distractions and pressures of younger years. And here's what happens when you give yourself permission to explore. You reignite your sense of purpose. You wake up with something to look forward to. You shift your focus from fear to possibility. And speaking of purpose, let's talk about something that can transform the way you see aging: giving back. One of the biggest misconceptions about getting older is that society no longer needs you. That's simply not true. The world needs your wisdom, your kindness, your experience. Whether it's mentoring younger generations, volunteering in your community, or simply sharing stories and advice with friends, you have so much to offer. Think about it. When was the last time someone came to you for advice? It happens more often than you realize. Younger people look up to those who have lived through challenges, who have seen the world change, who have gained perspective that only time can give. Your words, your presence, your encouragement, those things matter. If you ever feel like you don't have a purpose, try this. Find a way to help someone. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. It could be something as simple as calling a friend who might be lonely, writing a heartfelt letter to someone who needs support, or offering guidance to someone who's going through something you've already faced. When you give to others, you remind yourself that you are valuable. You shift your focus from what you fear to what you can do. And that shift is powerful. Now, let's talk about something we all face as we get older: grief. Whether it's the loss of loved ones, the loss of certain abilities, or even the loss of time, grief is a natural part of aging. And it's okay to acknowledge that. It's okay to feel sad about the things that have changed. But here's what's important. Don't let grief keep you stuck in the past. Loss reminds us that life is precious. And instead of dwelling on what's gone, we can honor it by fully embracing what's still here. Think about the people you've loved and lost. Would they want you to stop living because they're no longer here? Or would they want you to keep finding joy, keep making memories, keep living with an open heart? One of the most healing things you can do is to create new memories while cherishing the old ones. If you lost a partner, That doesn't mean you have to stop experiencing love. Love can come in many forms, through friendships, through family, through deep conversations with people who truly understand you. If you've lost abilities you once had, focus on what you can still do and how you can adapt. If you feel like time is running out, remind yourself that every single day is a gift. And that's not just a cliché, it's the truth. Think about how many people don't get the chance to live as long as you have. Every day that you wake up is an opportunity to laugh, to love, to learn something new. Aging isn't about counting the years behind you. It's about making the years ahead count. And that leads me to something that can truly change the way you see this stage of life. Gratitude. I know. It's easy to hear the word gratitude and think, yeah, I've heard that before. But have you actually practiced it? Have you ever stopped to fully appreciate the little things that make life beautiful? The warmth of the sun on your face, the sound of laughter, the feeling of a hug from someone you love, the taste of your favorite meal, the excitement of learning something new. These small moments, these tiny everyday joys, are what life is really made of. When you focus on what you're grateful for, fear takes a back seat. Because instead of worrying about what's slipping away, you start noticing what's still here. You start appreciating the little things that once went unnoticed. And suddenly, aging doesn't feel like something to be afraid of, it feels like something to celebrate. So, here's what I want you to do. Before you go to bed tonight, think of 3 things, just 3, that you're grateful for. And really feel that gratitude. Let it fill you up. Because when you wake up tomorrow, you'll start to notice even more reasons to be thankful. And that, my friend, is how you replace fear with joy. Now that we've talked about rediscovering yourself, finding purpose, and embracing gratitude, let's take this journey even further. Because overcoming the fear of aging isn't just about changing your mindset, it's about taking action. It's about making choices every day that bring you joy, confidence, and fulfillment. One of the biggest myths about aging is that excitement and adventure are only for the young. But that couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, some of the best experiences in life happen when you have the time, wisdom, and freedom to truly appreciate them. So let me ask you, when was the last time you tried something new? When was the last time you did something that made your heart race in a good way? Too often, people settle into routines that feel safe, but not necessarily fulfilling. They think, I'm too old to travel. I'm too old to learn something new. I'm too old to start over. But do you know what those thoughts really are? Just fear, disguised as logic. The truth is, age doesn't limit you. Fear does. The moment you stop letting fear decide what you can and cannot do, your world opens up. Think about something you've always wanted to do but never got around to. Maybe it's visiting a new place, learning a skill, or reconnecting with an old friend. Whatever it is, give yourself permission to do it. It doesn't have to be something huge, just something that reminds you that life is still happening. Even small adventures, like trying a new restaurant, taking a scenic drive, or picking up a new hobby, can reignite your excitement for life. And while we're on the topic of trying new things, let's talk about one of the most powerful tools for staying young at heart: laughter. Have you ever noticed how much children laugh? Everything is funny to them. They find joy in the simplest things. But as we grow older, we start to take life too seriously. We focus on responsibilities, worries, and routines, and somewhere along the way, we forget how to just be silly. Laughter is medicine. It lifts your spirits, reduces stress, and even has real physical benefits, like lowering blood pressure and boosting your immune system. So if it's been a while since you had a good laugh, make it a priority. Watch a funny movie. Spend time with people who bring out your playful side. Tell a joke, even if it's a bad one. Allow yourself to be light-hearted. Because no matter how many years you've lived, laughter will always make you feel young. But let's be real. Some days, staying positive is easier said than done. There will be moments when doubt creeps in. When you feel tired, discouraged, or uncertain about the future. And that's okay. The goal isn't to never feel afraid, it's to not let fear control you. And one of the best ways to keep fear in check is to surround yourself with people who lift you up. The people you spend time with can either energize you or drain you. They can inspire you or make you feel stuck, So take a moment and think about the relationships in your life. Do you spend time with people who encourage you, who make you feel valued and alive? Or do you find yourself around people who constantly complain, who dwell on negativity, who make aging sound like a slow, inevitable decline? If it's the latter, it's time to start being intentional about who you let into your life. You deserve to be around people who celebrate life, who see possibilities instead of limitations, who remind you that every stage of life has something beautiful to offer. And if you don't have those kinds of people around you right now, don't be afraid to seek them out. Join a group, start conversations, find a community that shares your enthusiasm for living fully. And most importantly, be that kind of person for yourself. Speak to yourself the way you would speak to a dear friend. Encourage yourself. Remind yourself of all the ways you are still strong, capable, and worthy of joy. Because at the end of the day, the most important voice in your life is your own. So here's my final message to you. Aging is not something to fear. It's a privilege. Not everyone gets to experience the gift of growing older, of seeing more sunsets, of loving more deeply, of learning more about this incredible journey called life. Yes, there will be changes. Yes, there will be challenges. But there will also be laughter, love, and so much more to experience. You are not too old to start fresh. You are not too old to dream. You are not too old to create new memories, build new friendships, or embrace new adventures. The best way to overcome the fear of aging is to live. Not just exist, but truly, fully live. So go out there and do something today, big or small, that makes you feel alive. Because your story is far from over. In fact, some of the best chapters may still be ahead. And if this message resonated with you, let me know in the comments. Tell me one thing you're excited about, one thing you're looking forward to. And if you haven't already, make sure to like this video and subscribe, because we have so much more to talk about when it comes to living your best life at any age. Here's to you. Here's to life. Here's to making every single day count.